All right, so do you want to do it in this order? Do we want to start with good and then go to sadness and then empowerment and then end with the babies?
I like that. I think that makes sense.
That's the only way that I can describe it. Start with the good, go to the sadness, end with empowerment, and then go to the babies.
Yeah. The children are our future, exactly.
Yes, I believe, just let them lead the way. We might have to add Whitney into this today.
Yeah.
That would be so camp. It would be great.
Yes. I mean, I sometimes like to throw some camp in there. Just every episode so far just has a little something, a little shout out. Okay, cool. All right. Put us on a timer. All right. Everybody ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
Woohoo! Here we go. Oh, wait. Do y'all remember how to do the intro?
Oh, yeah. So thanks for the reminder, because I would have been sitting here quietly.
I was seriously just like, doo-doo-doo. Okay.
Okay, for real now, y'all.
Okay.
So we go CG, Danielle, then me.
Sorry, I'm giggling. Okay, wait.
Pull it together.
Whew. Hi, it's CG.
And it's Danielle.
And it's Lauren, and this is Black Girl Magic, a podcast. Good day, ladies. How are y'all? Happy weekend. I hope everybody's had a good week.
We have. Well, I have.
It's
Well, I have.
not too bad.
I can't speak for you all.
I had an excellent week. Did you get through this? Were you both snowed in? I don't know if Ithaca got hit as hard.
No, I wasn't hit pretty much at all. Ithaca has been sort of its own little lake effect snow bubble, so we haven't gotten a lot kind of weirdly this year. Yeah.
We got all the Jack Frost.
Yeah, CG got everything we would normally get.
It was so much. We've never seen this much snow that I can remember. Well, they said, I think it was like a top 3, maybe top 2 since like 1920-something, 1919. So it was a lot of snow. It's still a lot of snow. And parking spaces are serious business right now. It's
I'm sure. Well, I'm glad you got through Snowzilla in one piece.
I did. I almost died listening to Fetty Wap while driving, but other than that, it's all good.
I sent some up for you when you sent that text. I was like, oh, please let her get home.
Jewel gets me every time. Says, yeah, baby, and I'm like, yeah, baby. And then
I'll swerve. We've got a lot to cover this week, so let's just jump into it. First off, we're going to give super praise to Ava DuVernay for her announcement this week with Queen Sugar, which will have an all-female directorial team. I don't know if this is the first time this has ever happened on a show, but the fact that she is doing this type of work and made this announcement just a day after the biggest deal at Sundance for the birth of a nation, it just kind of, she's just everything to me. And the fact that she liked our tweets this week, I was really like, you know what? She has a special place in my heart. But the real crux of this is that Queen Sugar is just going to be, it is basically Black Girl Magic epitomized. You've got it on OWN, which is Oprah's network, so check that. It's Ava DuVernay, check that. All women directorial team, check that. The story seems like it's going to be amazing, and that they're people from Black independent film space, and it's a wonderful time to be alive when you're on this type of looking at this subject matter. It's just what a time to be alive.
Yeah, when I heard about this, I was so blown away, and I don't know why I was blown away exactly, because it is exactly what I understand Ava DuVernay to be. Where she puts her money where her mouth is, she practices what she preaches, and her commitment to community is so sincere and so active in everything that she does. It was just so beautiful. Like I'm not even involved in. The film industry outside of, like, I enjoy watching films and I like to imagine what life would be like if I had gone that route or whatever, but um I felt like it made me feel empowered somehow, like, yeah, these women directors are actually getting this opportunity that people are always saying, well, if there were more female directors, if there were more women behind the camera, if there were more women who were in control, then the stories would be told, but we're not seeing that happen. And then here comes Ava being like, well, bam, here you go. This is how we're going to get these stories told. This is how we're going to get these perspectives told. And it's not sort of this kind of cursory treatment, but it's the real deal. And that, for me, was just amazing to see.
So the nerd in me is super excited about the story that's being told, and just the concept of Black women going down to take over their father's sugarcane plantation. And just, if we just think about that just in an intellectual space, what does that mean to the universe?
Yes.
Taking control of something that was a tool that was used to essentially dominate and annihilate our culture just because folks like sugar. Is it really that serious? Is it ever that serious? But what does it mean to take control over that just agriculturally? And so the nerd in me is super excited about how she's going to do that. And I watched an interview where she said she wants it to be a 13-hour movie. And when she said that, I was just all types of sold, because I just thought about what a way to think about a series. You're not thinking episode by episode. You're thinking about, what does this look conceptually across the board if it were a 13-hour movie? How do I put this together?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to be beautiful. I can't wait to watch it.
Well, since it's being based off of the debut novel of Natalie Bazell, I wonder, when you're reading a book, you look at it as a full thing, and most of the time when books are adapted to screen, it's for movies. And so taking that content from the big screen to television, it feels like a natural flow. And now that people are like binge watching and taking content as almost as whole pieces instead of episode by episode, it lends itself to be that 13-hour film, because sometimes you're not getting that break of commercials or waiting till next week or having the build-up that you have when you're watching episodic content, the way that, or at least in the traditional sense. So I think it's going to be cool. And then from a personal standpoint, the storyline in terms of taking over family farms, and like my grandfather had a farm, and so we still have that land. And as my parents get older, I'm starting to have to think about, okay, what does that mean for me? Like, I'm going to have to take over this land, and it's land that is, when you look at it from a Black economics standpoint, that's the inheritance for me and my sister. So what do you do with that land? What do you do with the family story around it? And so this is going to be something special. So I can't wait for it to come out. We'll have to do a watch party.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to read the book.
Yeah.
I do too.
I want to read the book. I think that's spectacular. And like you were saying about the land, I think for almost all Black people who were fortunate enough to have ancestors who purchased land, that land was blood earned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so it's not just Oh yeah, I just got some land and I inherited. No, that land was earned. That land was worked for. Somebody probably tried to take it at one point through adverse possession or intimidation. Some way or another, that land is a part of your family and a part of your legacy. And so I think it's up to us to take care of it.
Absolutely. And like you mentioned even about the idea of sugar, that's something that we sort of I think because we use it so much and because it just seems so simple, like you just add a little sugar to your tea, add it to your coffee, you're not really thinking about it. You don't remember the cost of creating sugar, the people who have died and been disenfranchised and disempowered so that sugar is made easily accessible and very cheaply accessible in the United States. And the fact that this conversation is taking place around sugar, I love the fact that it sort of implicates all of us in our consumption in those kinds of important ways that I think it makes those same sorts of issues that you guys have already really eloquently brought up. It makes it really relevant for today, so it's not something that we're easily able to look at and say, oh, well, but that, those are things that happened in the past, and I don't really, feel that I have any role in that these are still things that we're dealing with today where people are still being affected. So yeah, just on every level, the fact that it was a book, the fact that it's going to be a female directorial staff, the fact that it's Ava DuVernay, that just all of it is coming together in this really incredible, really lovely way.
So Ava, Misty Copeland twirl throughout your house, down the street on this news, because you definitely have earned it and you definitely deserve it. Who's next?
It's the bad times.
Yeah, it's the sadness. So that's me.
I'm sorry, Danielle.
I know, I'm trying to even think how to transition because I mean there is no transition, so I'll just kind of jump in by saying that there's no transition. So all right, I'll go ahead and start in just a second.
Yep.
All right. All right, so after we've talked about this really fantastic news, there's no way to transition appropriately to this next topic, and it's a topic that matters so much because of this one woman's life, but also because of the wide reach of what happened to her and the fact that it continues to happen and that it feels so much like it could be anyone. So this is a story of Janice Talton Jackson, who very recently, just I think I guess it was earlier this week, went to a bar, was approached by a man. She rebuffed him, was not interested, left around closing time. He followed her out into the parking lot, allegedly propositioned her again. She turned him down. He took out a gun, shot her in the chest, and killed her. She was 29 years old. She had 3 children, twin daughters, and I think a 1-year-old son that she leaves behind because she said no. She didn't do anything else. And so I'm feeling all types of ways about this, and it's hard for me to even really know where to begin in talking about something like this. My initial response is just incredible anger, because she didn't deserve this. Because women don't deserve this, and because African American women, who are quite frequently targets of this kind of violence, do not deserve this. It's one of those situations where when I talk to my female friends, pretty much everybody has a situation that they can recount where they felt genuinely intimidated or threatened or attacked or were physically attacked by a man, either one with whom they were in a romantic relationship or, at the beginning of possibly engaging in a romantic relationship, or just some guy at a bar who said something or did something or acted in a creepy way. And what's really disconcerting and troubling to me about this is the fact that these incidents keep happening. Women continue to try to talk about these issues and are often discredited and discounted as being crazy or being dramatic or being hyperbolic, that they're exaggerating the severity of these kinds of situations. But these things keep happening. If it were one woman, that would be too many. But it happens all the time. And I feel like I always have to get up on my soapbox and beg people, if a woman that you know is telling you, if she is confiding in you that something is happening where she feels threatened, you have to give that some degree of credence, because her life could be on the line. Janice Talton Jackson didn't do anything wrong. By all accounts, when we often try to figure out the way to victim blame, or, I even saw on websites people were saying, well, she should have said, if she had said, oh, my man, I have a man, and he'd be really upset if he heard that I was talking to you, then maybe her life would have been spared, or if she had gone home a little bit earlier. We don't know the specifics of what she said or how she said it, but we also know that there are songs written specifically about what's your man got to do with me. We know that there are specifically there is a culture of there's nothing that a woman can say, and a woman shouldn't have to frame herself that, you don't want to disrespect my husband, you don't want to disrespect my boyfriend, you don't want to disrespect the father of my children. You shouldn't disrespect me. My no should be enough. And the fact that it's not is really sickening to me, both personally, for all of the women that I love, and that I know, and as the mother of a little girl, all of these things are very, very frightening realities, and I'm getting increasingly disgusted by the regularity with which I'm seeing these things occur. So I guess I just want to open this conversation up to you guys about what you heard, how you felt when you first heard about this, and just anything, because it's just, I feel like we need to talk about her, because she was a real person and she deserves at least these conversations being had.
Who wants to go first?
You can go, Lauren, if you want.
Okay. Looking at the response around the internet in terms of people saying, oh, she could have just given him a fake number. Oh, she could have just, said she had a man. That shouldn't be what we're teaching people to accept as responses. I've given out the fake number. I've done the, oh, I have a boyfriend. Oh, I'm here with my boyfriend, and just point to someone randomly in the crowd.
Exactly.
Over there. We shouldn't have to have those guards up when we're just trying to have a good time. We don't know what her day was like and what took her down to Cliff's bar that night. She could have just wanted something to drink before she had to go home, and or she had a free night to herself as a mom, when you get to go out and you're like, all right, I get to just let my hair down.
Exactly.
It's just it is sad. It's frustrating, and it's one of those things where it's like it could be any of us. I walk a lot now that I am a car-free, car-light resident of Portland. And while I don't have a lot of street harassment, there are times where it's like you get the, hey, baby girl, why aren't you smiling? What's your, just smile. It's a beautiful day. And I'm like, I'm not here for you. I'm here to get from point A to point B. My smile doesn't necessarily have to do anything with your day. But having those, you don't know where they're going to turn from, hey, baby girl, to fuck you then, or you a bitch anyways. You don't know me. And it's like that transition, what makes that, where have we failed in educating people where that transition from, A, why do you think that I'm here for you? B, going from, oh, I'm something that for you to I'm your commodity, to you thinking that you can just disregard me at any point and call me a bitch or call me all sorts of names, and then escalate it to the point where you're in your mind you're okay to kill someone because they said no. Like what do we need to do as a society to change that transition, that pattern from looking at women like they are there for your consumption only?
Yeah.
I think it's, at its core, I think it's a manifestation of rape culture.
Absolutely.
I think that everything that both of you have talked about, everything that we have experienced as women, are aimed at this idea that men feel entitled. They feel entitled to our attention. They feel entitled to our affection. They feel entitled to our bodies. And so, I think we've all had that experience where a guy is like, smile. And it's like, now I'm horrible because I'll just deliberately frown because it's like, I'm not here for you. My body, my presence is not here for your consumption. But that is a part of rape culture. And I think a lot of it goes into how we raise boys to believe that they are entitled to certain things from a woman, and that if she doesn't respond in a way that she's disrespecting his manhood. And it's, I saw a lot of discussions surrounding how she turned him down. Did she say it politely? Did she curse him out? There have been so many situations in which I've said things politely thinking that maybe if I say it politely, I won't get cursed out this time, or I won't be threatened this time, and it never happens. It's not about the woman's response. Any response that's not complete acquiescence and compliance is problematic for a man who feels entitled to the attention, affection, and the body of a woman. And it's purely just unacceptable. And I think that men who have daughters get it. Some men get it who have heard their sisters or their mothers talk about it. But I would challenge men to think about, what would it feel like to walk in fear? What would it feel like to structure your entire day around the idea that if I'm out too late, or if I'm in the wrong part of town, I might get raped, or I might get beat, or I might get sexually assaulted in some way? And that's what women deal with on a daily basis, every day of their life. I don't like walking around with a taser, but I stay strapped because I'm from the South, and that's what we do.
Oh my
gosh. It's just so many things that goes into this conversation. And then just, I think about the conversations that my mother had with me. Don't put your drink down. Don't do this. It's this idea that women are taught that not only are we responsible for our own behavior, but we're responsible for the behavior of freaking psychopaths. And that should not be the case. Men are perfectly capable of controlling their conduct, and we need to start holding them accountable for their actions.
Exactly. Yeah, I love what you're saying there, because, as a college instructor, I find, and as a former college student, I find that the impetus is always on women to keep themselves safe. That you get those emails or letters or whatever at the beginning of the semester that say, ladies, make sure you never walk by yourself, that you know where all the blue lights are, et cetera, et cetera. But the men don't get letters that say, hey, don't rape. Don't rape women.
Please don't grab this woman by her lip.
Exactly. That it's always this women, make sure never to go in a group of less than 2 people, or, this, that, or the other. It's always that impetus. Even as we're seeing like fraternities come under fire, one of the big sort of national solutions that people have come up with is, oh, well, these fraternities should probably just be made co-ed, because I think that would quell a lot of the issues. And it's like, oh, because women are now the babysitters for men. So if men can't handle themselves in these frats,
then how to act in public.
Exactly, they'll be better if there are some women there, because then they won't lure women into the fraternity and rape them, or they won't, haze each other to such the extent where somebody dies because there are women there, and they'll know that they have to keep it together because women are, the moral compass of the United States or whatever. I mean, it just becomes this really ridiculous idea, and I think it goes back to that idea of how women are being presented in the media as these objects, meaning that what we see in movies, which ties back again to the fabulous Ava DuVernay and the way she's really shaking things up and dismantling these kinds of frameworks. But we see so many male-driven films with these male protagonists where their ultimate goal is to achieve whatever with the woman as one of the objects that they get this beautiful woman, that's how the movie ends, so that we see that's the sign that they've made it, is that this woman, who maybe we know something about, maybe we don't, she, learns to love him, or she is willing to give up everything to, live in his house, or whatever it is. So people are starting to be taught that this is the thing that they are owed, that if they're doing everything right, it's that idea of the friend zone, where guys will say, oh, well, I've been friend zoned, and,
do you know what the cost of my friendship is? My friendship is fabulous. You want to be in this zone.
And it's this idea that, like, oh, I've been friend zoned because I'm such a good guy. She's such a bitch for friend zoning me. And it's like, oh, well, that's the kind of guy that you want to date, is the one who says you're such a bitch because you won't date him. You are the good guy then. So yeah, it's just all of these kinds of like crazy ways that we're letting women know what they are in society, which is ultimately just this object. And that's where the change needs to start. And I'm seeing some very small gestures being made toward that, but it is frightening to be a woman in this world. It is frightening to have a daughter. It is frightening to think about the fact that just quite frankly, it's frightening in those male-female interactions, because most men are bigger than you. I am 5'2½". Most men are bigger than me, and it just changes the way you're able to interact with people and the way you feel concerned about yourself and your body, and when no means no to you and it doesn't mean anything to somebody else. I think women are standing up for themselves and standing up for each other, and men have to be allies in that way. They have to be. Even if you're saying, well, I'm not, I'm a man and I know that no means no, then when your female friend is telling you something happens, you can't roll your eyes about it. You have to understand. You have to believe. You have to give that credence.
And I personally think it starts when you're a baby.
Absolutely.
I'm a firm believer in boundaries. I've gotten a lot of strange looks when I've had friends who say they've had a little girl or a little boy, and someone who the kid doesn't know comes around and they're like, give so-and-so a hug and a kiss, and the kid says no. No means no.
No means no, absolutely.
No means no. And particularly with little girls, they'll follow it up. With little boys, they'll dismiss it and say, oh, he's just, he doesn't feel like it. He's just grumpy. But with little girls, it tends to be nice. Don't be that way. No, be that way. You don't know him.
Absolutely.
You don't know where his mouth has been or her mouth has been. You don't know what's going on in the situation. You don't know these people. So if you don't feel comfortable, I don't care if you are 18 or if you are 9 months. If you don't feel comfortable, you should not feel compelled to give somebody your attention or your affection, because what happens is then the word no becomes a bad word and you don't want to say no, and it opens the door to not being able to say no effectively. I know a lot of women who don't know how to say no. So think about that in a sexual interaction. Not knowing how to say no, I don't want your penis inside of my vagina right now.
Exactly.
In certain terms. And so I think that's where it starts. We have to start teaching boundaries, enforcing those boundaries, and not shaming little girls because they don't want strangers kissing and hugging all over them.
Exactly. Or even just the idea that, like, or that you're allowed to say no, but you have to be apologetic about it. I mean, why do I have to apologize for not wanting, these kinds of encounters? Why should my daughter have to apologize that she doesn't want to give somebody a hug? She doesn't. She doesn't have to apologize for that, and I don't make her. Because if she doesn't want to hug somebody, then she doesn't have to hug them, and it's just that simple. And you are a grown-up, so if your feelings are hurt, you need to figure out how to feel better about it, because she is a child and she doesn't want to do that, and I'm not making her. Because it's just, I think you're absolutely right that it starts so early, and it's all of these, it's these small ways that we start teaching women that they have to be sorry, that they have to apologize, that they have to be accommodating, and they have to allow things that their comfort is secondary to the comfort of everybody else around them. And that's ridiculous, and it is so harmful.
Amen.
Yeah, I mean, it's really upsetting to think about.
Where's the Lauren bow?
What?
You're so good at tying a bow on things.
Yeah.
The Lauren bow. Well, here's my bow. Janice, we pray that you are in a peaceful place, and we are so sad down here and furious at the way that you left this world. And I know our communities are going to rally, and hopefully there will be change. And I hope as a society we do better, because you deserved better. And the countless women that are harassed or have lost their lives because they said no deserve better. So we pray that you're in peace.
That was good. Good job.
Yeah.
That was a Lauren bow for you.
I like that.
You liked my bow?
I liked your bow. That was, what's the papyrus gift wrap? That was nice.
Not papyrus. I got a good car. All right, the power of the black woman vote. Yes, as we enter the primaries.
Oh, gosh. All right. Ready?
Yes.
So, as we enter primary season, I want to bring something to all of your attention. What segment of society is simultaneously the most powerful and yet neglected segment of the electorate? Yeah, if you guessed it, it is black women.
Oh, damn, I was going to say black men or men. Men in general, really?
All
It's
men,
us?
all men.
All men matter. All men matter, y'all.
Men's rights are just being eroded at such.
It's just sad. It's so
It's so sad. I mean, enough is enough. No, but
reverse sexism.
Yes, yes, reverse sexism.
reverse sexism. That was really funny. But so I'm still laughing at reverse sexism. So black women, studies have consistently shown that particularly in the last election cycles, black women have turned out in droves at numbers higher than other demographics to vote. Now, this is particularly interesting because black women's issues tend not to be at the forefront of candidates' platforms. We're more likely to die of health-related issues such as heart disease, breast cancer, and HIV. We're also economically more disenfranchised than other groups. We have a lower wealth levels. We make less money, which results in most of us not even being able to retire well past retirement age. And so Higher Heights, which is an organization that's focused on getting more black women engaged in the political process, has been focused on this question of essentially how cool would it be if we actually leverage our power? What would it look like if black women recognize the power that we hold and began running for office, began only voting for candidates that specifically addressed our concerns, and not just addressed our concerns when they're trying to get us to check the box, but actually got into office and made substantive changes to legislation to better our lives and our conditions. And so it's hard for me because the circus is in town right now, meaning all the candidates are stumping in Iowa and New Hampshire. I really think that as black women, we need to make a concerted effort to hold people accountable and to put our issues on the agenda, and to not feel like we are being selfish or that we are ignoring larger, more important causes, because we are important. And it's time that our politicians actually listened to us and did something about it, because we are powerful. The numbers show it.
So who's our candidate?
That's the question. We ain't got one.
So what are we supposed to do?
Yeah, but someone help me, please.
We're supposed to make a candidate. We're supposed to make a candidate, and we also need to run. We need to run for office. And that goes to the larger issue of political donations, campaign finance reform. Our friend Bernie, love him to death, has drilled this into the ground. And I think a lot of people are listening. A lot of people are not listening because, you know, Citizens United. Campaign finance reform is a real issue because in order to run for office, you have to have money. And so if we want to see these changes and we want to see black women's political power truly blossom, as opposed to voting for other people and hoping and wishing that they're going to take our issues seriously and do something about that, we have to run. We have to run for political office, and we have to support those sisters who do choose to run in all of their endeavors.
Well, yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense, to me. And it's funny, I think, because we, at least as far as the media portrayal of things, I see black female politicians so infrequently that it had eluded me as a possibility for how to actualize like our own power. Where I was just like, but what do we do when, you know, we have all of these you know, candidates, and none of them really seem to speak to a lot of my personal experience. But yes, we absolutely need black female candidates. I think that would be hugely helpful. And the same way, I think, you know, Barack Obama's presidency matters because visibility does matter. In the same way, visibility matters, and just that feeling of I mean, I think, and this is, you know, sort of a tangent, but like with the Oscar So White, everything that's happening with that, when Julie Delpy, this white female actress, came out and said that sometimes she wished she were black because being a white woman was the hardest, you know, thing to be in Hollywood, and that she
Girl, cry your white tears.
right.
What?
I mean, I'm reading this and I was like, is this satire? Like, what is happening?
We should
but
mail
so
her a paddle so she can paddle upstream in all those tears.
I
Oh my
mean,
gosh.
really, it was just crazy. So she's saying this, and then she says that basically she gets so attacked, but like nobody feels that they're going to attack black people. And the way she framed things, it was that idea that like all women are white and all black people are men, and that she had completely. First of all, her argument was false, period. But she had also just completely erased black women out of existence. And I think that happens so much, that black women are expected to either just vote with black men, or we're expected to vote with white women, when those two groups may or may not adequately address our actual lived experiences and our actual concerns. So yeah, I mean, the fact that black women do vote in such high numbers, being able to sort of rein our collective power together is, I mean, that possibility is really, really exciting, if nothing else.
I just feel like we've been waging this proxy war for far too long, and it's time for us to actually get in there and do it. We placed our faith in a lot of people, and I also think it's a larger women's issue. Women in general don't run enough for office. We don't run unless we're asked. We don't think that we're qualified, yet you'll get some guy who knows jack about jack. I mean, nothing at all. You have to wonder if he really believes what he's saying, or if he's read a newspaper or a book in the past 50 years, and he'll get on TV and say, I'm running for president and I'm the best man for the job, and people will line up behind him. And so I think that we have to learn how to promote ourselves, not undervalue our experience and our capabilities, and above all else, just go for it.
Yeah.
So this is Ashley CG's announcement that she's running for president.
By the way,
You heard it here first. 2020, there'll be a Dodds ticket. You know what? I would stand behind that.
I absolutely would. Yes.
tweet
She's
me
a lawyer.
sit in the vice
So,
presidency position.
yes. Yes. Is it time for shout outs?
I think so.
Yeah.
Shout outs! Oh, the babies are doing it this week. The babies are showing us how to be leaders, how to be altruistic, and just this is why I love doing this podcast, is because of examples like this. So this week, the shout outs go to 9-year-old Gianni Graham and 11-year-old Marley Davies. Diaz, Marley Diaz. Sorry, Marley. Because they are just they are being so open and giving, and let's just go into the story. So Gianni, 9-year-old girl from Virginia, decided that while she was playing, it hit her that other girls my age that are homeless need dolls too. They need to play. So she has decided for her New Year's resolution to collect 1,000 Barbie dolls for 1,000 girls in foster homes and shelters. And she's 9. What'd you do today? It's like that's just fills me with such joy that she took it upon herself and rallied and has enough people behind her, has an adorable website where you can leave a donation and or where you can ship some dolls. But it's just, it's a beautiful thing. And when you see the sadness and the just kind of the bad stuff in the community, you need these bright spots, and you look at it and you're like, okay, these are the people that are going to lead after me. If they just stay on this track, we'll be okay. And they're starting so young. And Marley girl, you get a Misty Copeland twirl as well. So she is an 11-year-old that decided that she was sick of reading books about dogs and white boys and launched hashtag 1,000 Black Girl Books. And she is collecting books with Black female protagonists so that she and her peers have someone else to look up to. And what I love about the story is that when she decided to do this, she was telling her mom about reading Where the Red Fern Grows in Shiloh, and her mom looked at her and said, okay, what are you going to do about it? And she did. And that's kudos to mama being like, all right, you have this passion, you see that there's a problem, what is your solution? And giving her the space to grow and put the solution on paper and into action. So mama gets mad points. And then Marley for actually doing it. And she is halfway to her goal, which is up to on Monday. So if you have time, send her a book or some money to get a book. To collect these 1,000 books that feature Black female protagonists. And the sad thing is, I don't know if there are actually 1,000 books that feature Black female protagonists. Yeah. I'm surprised that she found 500, to be perfectly honest. And I read as a child. I read. And so, when you're looking at the young adult book collections, you see Junie B. Jones, you see Sweet Valley High, you see the Babysitters Club, although they did have Jessie, and that was my kindred spirit.
Hey, Jen.
Right?
Hey, girl.
But you're looking at the scene and you're like, okay, there's not, for me, at least when I was growing up, one of the series that really had a black face for me was the Addie books from American Girl Collection.
Mhm.
And that is a book series about a little black girl slave. And it's like,
Yep.
where it's like, that's my female protagonist. Although, like, I loved that series. It's, it's like, okay, that's who we have out there. What are the other thousand? What are the other, it shouldn't be such a chore to try and think of what those book titles might be.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way as a self-proclaimed book nerd who has devoted my life to reading and writing about the things that I'm reading. Like, as soon as I heard this, I was so excited. And I feel her about the white boys and dogs, because I remember when I was in, I think, seventh grade, I was in the newspaper for, like I won an art contest or something like that. And they asked me what my favorite book was, and I said The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, because it was my favorite book. And I said I loved it because, like, I could relate to it, basically, because he was like this all-American kid who got into trouble and, like, went on adventures and all of these things. And it's true, like, I felt like I related to Tom Sawyer, but I wasn't seeing, even in seventh grade, it was harder to find those books that seemed to have that sort of timeless quality where they were also still about black women. And once I got into, like, Zora Neale Hurston and things like that, then my world changed. But this idea of getting kids into this more diverse collection of books younger, I think is a phenomenal possibility. And as a English major, English PhD, et cetera, you don't see a lot of people of color in the major in that field, and maybe this is a way for people to see the relevance that the literature has in their lives in those kinds of ways, where you don't have to just look at Tom Sawyer and figure out how he kind of reflects you in his like mischievous personality or things like that, that you can expand beyond that and really start to think about, I mean, just that representation and that feeling that your stories exist and that people care about them, and that it's not just, your stories aren't sort of relegated to the one, 2-week section in a class where they talk about, whatever it is, that there's more, and that not only is it that there are just, like, there are more books, but that they're representing the diversity of the black female experience. I mean, that's just incredible to me. I'm super excited to see everything that she comes up with.
I mean, it all goes back to representation. Like,
Yeah.
this whole episode, I feel like, is about representation, how you represent through your story, looking at Queen Sugar, looking at Marley's book drive, looking at how you represent your body and how you're able to own your spirit in a way. This is all about representation. When you see yourself in a different light, and when you see yourself across different spectrums, you're able to live life more fully, I feel like. CG, you alive? No, where's CG went? I hope that she lists the books that she has received for donations, because I feel like that's a list that I would like to see, and I would like to read that list,
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I hope she publishes them someplace so that we can all have them, because I like I said, this is what I do for a living, and I was still like, man, 1,000 books. I don't even know that they exist. I wonder what she's coming up with.
I think it would be. I'm sorry, I couldn't get my microphone to work before. But I agree. I think that she should publish the list, because I can think of so many little girls, all little girls, who would love to see that list of books. Because when I was that age, I was into Where the Red Fern Grows and Little Ann and Old Dan, and that's what I was reading because that was what was presented to me.
Mhm.
And all I had was my Scholastic Book Fair flyer, and I was just taking my little $15 and making it do what it do at the book fair. So this is exciting, and I'm excited for her. And I'm in love with Mom, who said, okay, well, you've identified a problem, but what's the solution? I think that's the best attitude to have.
All right, we're going to end on that one. That was good. Is it time for magical moments?
I think so.
All right. Magic moments. Who wants to start?
I'll start. So, all right. So my magical moment wasn't something that specifically happened to me, but I think happened to a lot of people. But seeing, so when it was published, I think first on Instagram, then it started hitting various forms of social media. Octavia Butler writing her life into existence. I am still somewhere on the floor passed out, because that was so fantastic to see her vision statement and to see the way she accomplished everything she set out to do. So just for those of you who have missed it, definitely look it up. But Octavia Butler is, she passed away not too long ago, but she was an African-American female author who wrote a number of sort of science fiction, genre-bending novels and short stories like Parable of the Sower, my personal favorite, Kindred, just a number of incredible sci-fi AFAM books. And before she became this hugely accomplished author who sort of changed the game for all of us who are interested in literature in that way, she wrote a vision statement for what she wanted in her life, and just very boldly and courageously she said, I am going to write novels. This is what I do. My novels are going to be on the New York Times bestseller. They are going to be on this bestseller, that bestseller. They are all going to be national bestsellers. I am going to buy a house where I want to live. I am going to send young black children to school. I am going to get health care, the best health care for myself and for my mother. I'm going to, she just lists it all out with these very bold, concrete I am statements. And then she did the damn thing. She did it all. And it reminded me of the power of our words and of the power of writing and just of that ability to live your best life and to make things happen and to believe in yourself, that it's not, I think especially as women and especially as black women, we're taught that like you're arrogant or cocky if you believe in yourself. But no, if you aren't going to toot your own horn, who's going to toot it for you? Toot your own horn, believe that you can do these things. And that was just a great reminder for me to be confident in the way I live my life, to imagine my best life and to articulate that my best life is coming and is happening. And the Octavia Butler vision statement was pure magic for me.
So be it, see to it. That is
Yep.
the phrase of the year. So be it, see to it.
See to it.
Thank you. That was, and they published it, like they posted it at a perfect time in terms of like it's the end of January. People are still like working through the resolution time period of the year and like trying to like pull together their own vision boards. I saw that and I was like, yes, so be it, see to it. CG, what was your magical moment this week?
I'm still thinking, can you go?
Sure, I can go. So, my magic moment this week was on Twitter. I tweet for us for Black Girl Magic, and just you never know who's gonna like the post, and we don't have like a ton of followers on Twitter, but you never know who's watching. And I don't know who runs Ava DuVernay's Twitter account or if she does it herself, but this week she liked and reposted a couple of our tweets, and I was just like, you know what? It was what I needed to see and hear and be like, all right, we need to keep going. We're gonna keep doing this. We're gonna keep, you know, we're on the right path to, even if it's just a small little hat tip, that was just enough to kind of spark a fire and be like, all right, we're gonna be okay. We're gonna get through. So be it. See to it. It just made me like giddy. I was just like, oh yay. So thank you, Ava DuVernay, for the like, or whoever runs your Twitter account for the like and the retweet, because that's just always a nice little like acknowledgement. Personally, it was just a really good week, and there was just lots of magic to be had. I finished a huge project at work, and the feedback from it was spectacular. So that was one of those like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. It validates why I made my move. It's so I'm in the. It's always a good sign when you get that kind of like checkpoint from the universe. It's like, all right, you are here in this space at this time for a reason. So yeah, that was my moment.
That was a good moment.
Yeah, we all need that sometimes, just like that sense of validation that I don't know, that people are listening or feeling what you're saying is awesome.
Awesome. Okay, I have a moment. I had a good week. That's why I was like, how come I can't think of a particular moment? Okay. So my moment happened on Wednesday night. I teach law students appellate advocacy at the David A. Clark School of Law. And on this particular day, I was teaching. I take a little bit of a different approach. I don't just teach out of the book. I like to actually use briefs written by actual attorneys. And so I pulled out the Brown versus Board of Education initial brief, which was written by Thurgood Marshall and Houston and all these great people, to teach the students about social justice lawyering and how do we use our skills as attorneys to affect social change. And so I'm going through the brief and I'm talking about boring lawyer stuff like stare decisis and legal precedent and Plessy versus Ferguson and property interest and whiteness. And we run 15 minutes over class time. Mind you, it has snowed like crazy. Nobody wanted to be there, but we're 15 minutes over class time, and none of my students stopped me.
Mm.
And when I said, okay, well, I'm going to go, and they screamed out no.
I'm about to do a praise dance. That is amazing to hear.
And it was just one of those moments where I think anybody who knows me knows how much I love, love, love teaching. If you ever would have told me I would have loved teaching, I would have been like, no, I'm not. That's not me. That's not my personality. But I love teaching because I love what happens when somebody gets it. And I'm a nerd, and I love reading, and I love dissecting. And so it was great to teach a class and for the students. And, I mean, these are night students. So they work a full-time job, and then they come to my class. And so to have them that fully engaged to the point to where they're like, no, we don't want to go. And I had one student specifically say to me, I've been in law school for 3 years, and this is the first time I've actually got it. Was a huge moment for me. So that was my Black Girl Magic moment. And I felt like Danielle sent me this fabulous meme of Diana Ross on stage, and that's what I felt like. My superhero cape was going. I felt fabulous. So, and shout out to Howard Law, because that brief was a product of the Howard University School.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I can't help it. It's the Howard in me.
That is so awesome. Teaching the children. No, I wouldn't have thought you would have been a professor, but you're perfect. Like, it works on so many levels. Again, this is CG's official announcement for running for president in 2020. She is teaching the children. She is leading the way. See, this is it. It all wraps up so beautifully.
She's my campaign manager, by the way, Lauren.
Yes, clearly.
Yeah. Talking points galore.
She doesn't know it yet. I'm gonna pay her in wine and Starbucks.
Hey, Starbucks is expensive. Yes, I'll take that. So where can everybody find you on social media?
So you can find me on Facebook at Danielle Fuentes Morgan, just my name, and you can follow me there. Or you can find me on Twitter at MosDAF, MOS_DAF. I'm trying to get better at Twitter, or not Twitter, at Tumblr, which is also most DAF or Black Girl with the Black Girl Magic Tumblr too. But I'm so technologically ill-equipped for everything, so I'm still learning. So bear with me. But Twitter, I've got. Facebook, I for sure have down. But yeah, so I'm there.
You can find me on Tumblr, un-Britta, BRIT, and I also tweet sometimes, but usually my tweets are just whatever is on my Tumblr. Because they're connected.
Yes, and your Tumblr is so woke. Your Tumblr is woke and lit. I love it. All right, you can find me on Twitter at lpark1984 or on Tumblr, PDX Observes, and Facebook, but that's not as much fun. You can follow all of us at Black Girl Magic on Twitter at BlackBLK Girl Magic Pod, P-O-D, Tumblr, Black Girl Magic Podcast. We're soon to get a Facebook page, for if your grandma wants to follow us on Facebook. But we'll be there soon. Music this week is by Foreign Exchange. The Pod Squad produces us, Pod Squad being us. And then you can find us on iTunes and SoundCloud. As always, please subscribe, leave reviews, and share our magic so that others can get in on it. I think that's it. We did it. This is episode 7.
Yay!
Yay! Awesome. Thanks for rocking with us. Have a magical week and keep bringing the magic. All right, we done. That was so good.
Excellent.
That was so good. All right. I need a bus to move to get across town.
Okay.
All right.
I will edit this while I'm in the chair because I'm about to be in the chair for like 6 hours. So
good luck. I want to see pictures afterwards.
Yes. Oh, I will be live tweeting this experience. But yeah, I'll send photos, and then I'm getting ready to take my Tylenol and head over. But I will talk to y'all soon. I will edit this in the chair, and it will be up by Monday.
Excellent.
Okie dokie. Bye, guys.
All right.
Thanks,
Talk to you guys later on.
Bye.
Bye.